One of the most challenging things, I think, for any appraiser, really any business owner, is this idea of the monthly bills, the monthly obligations that you have, not just in your business, but in life itself.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
Hey, appraisers, just barely got done doing something that kind of feels good, but a little bit scary. I want to share it with you, and not really appraisal related today, but something that I think is just life related, and a little advice that we all need to consider. Speaking of considering advice, will you consider my advice when it comes to ANOW software? ANOW, of course, is the way that I keep track of everything that goes on in my appraisal office. It is so simple to do. I can do it from my phone. They do have an app. I can do it from my laptop. I can do it from my tablet. I can do it from anywhere I am. It's ANOW software. Go to anow.com/coach. Once again, it's anow.com/coach. I want to talk today about finances, specifically about appraisal finances. And, a lot of us run our own business. A lot of us are the technician/CEO of our business. That's kind of been my focus the last several years is helping appraisers to become better business owners, to be more successful. And I'll tell you, I deal with a lot of stressful situations, as you can imagine. And I've been there, folks. I've lived the paycheck to paycheck thing. You all know my story. I set up my business to basically mirror my mentors, my peers. I looked around at what other appraisers were doing, and I thought that's the way you do it, right? And I ended up setting up not just my business model, but my financial model based on what other appraisers were doing. Let's just say it wasn't exactly the funnest way to live life. It's tough. It's tough being an appraiser because that gross check of $400 or $500 per appraisal, you all know gross doesn't equal net. And I'll tell you, that reality just smacks you up alongside the head sometimes, especially when it comes to April 15th, as I talked about a few weeks ago. And if you don't remember that episode, go back and listen to the episode about the richest man in Babylon. One of my favorite books, teaches some great principles. I'm going to be talking a little bit about that book again today. But to set this up, folks, I lived my life for 12, 15 years as an appraiser with a small family, sometimes working more than one job, sometimes up to 3 jobs, trying to make ends meet. And let's just say it wasn't any way to live long term. It was very, very stressful. And not that I don't have similar stresses now. I mean, I do. I'm human, and things come up, and we have slow times just like anybody else. And there's ups and downs in the market, and sometimes it's challenging, appraiser. Sometimes it's hard to make ends meet. Some of us, it's the only income in our family. Others, we have dual income. But either way, folks, it can be very, very hard sometimes to make ends meet. And one of the most challenging things, I think, for any appraiser, really any business owner, is this idea of the monthly bills, the monthly obligations that you have, not just in your business, but in life itself. Your house payment, your car payment, your fill in the blank payment. I mean, we have these bills that continue at us. And folks, some of these things will never go away. I mean, if you own a house, you're always going to be paying property taxes on it. If you are living and breathing, you're always going to have a grocery bill, right? Most of us are always going to have to put gas in the car. Regardless of whether you're working as an appraiser or just living your life, there are expenses that you have to have. But I'll tell you, folks, I had an experience about 6-7 years ago, and I'm pretty close with my sister. She lives down in Fort Worth, and I really look up to her. She's a great gal. A couple years older than I. We haven't always gotten along throughout life, but I do respect and love her dearly. She married a great guy, and he and I are fairly close and talk on a regular basis. Just a great family. 4 kids, 2 of them disabled, one adopted. I'll tell you, they are just salt of the earth type people. And, she sent me a text about 6-7 years ago. Yeah, there was text back then. Or maybe it was an email. I don't know. I just remember getting this message from her saying, "We just paid off our mortgage, Yahoo." And I have to admit, I was a little bit jealous. That payment on a monthly basis is, it's always there, folks. It's stressful, and it's not small. No, I don't have my house paid off. And I'll tell you, when I heard that she had, I felt the burden lift off shoulders for her, right? I felt a little tinge of what she was probably feeling. And I made a determination that I was not going to go 30 years on my mortgage, even though that's what my mortgage was set up for. And so at the time, I did a little something, and I just did something, honestly. This has been running about almost 6 minutes now. So 7 minutes ago, literally, I did something that I want to share with you after we get back from the break. I want to talk first, of course, about ANOW software. ANOW is the software that I've been using for a couple years now. It is the way that I manage my appraisal office on 2 folds. Well, 3, actually. I manage my people, my contractors, my appraisers, my assistants, my administration staff. I manage my appraisal flow, the assembly line, if you will, of the appraisal process. From start to finish, I can watch an appraisal go through the process of every step that it takes to get that thing out the door. And number 3 is the business, the analytics side, to be able to look at my numbers and know exactly where I am at any moment so I can pay that mortgage, right? That's ANOW software for you, folks. If you're not using it, check it out. Go to anow.com/coach, and you will get 3 months free to my All-Star team. Again, that's anow.com, and do a /coach. Get that free 3 months of the All-Star team and start using ANOW today. And we've got a brand new sponsor here today. I'm very excited to welcome onto the program a little company called Bit Mortgage. You've all heard of Bitcoin. You've all seen the graphs. You've all seen the Facebook posts where everybody said, if I only had invested in Bitcoin here a couple of months ago or a couple of years ago, look how rich I would be today, right? Well, Bit Mortgage works a lot like that. So you've got this big mortgage out there, right? You've got this payment to pay off whatever that mortgage is, but you've got that monthly responsibility. And I'll tell you, folks, it can be overwhelming, as we're talking about on the program today, but I'll tell you, there's a great new business out there called Bit Mortgage. Bit Mortgage it's basically Bitcoin for mortgages, right? And it's awesome. You simply, instead of making your mortgage payment, you make a payment to Bit Mortgage. And what Bit Mortgage does is it simply triples your payment and gives it back to you in these little coins. They are actually chocolate covered in tinfoil that say Bit Mortgage on them. And you bring that to the bank and hope and pray that they'll accept it. I mean, basically, if you put in $1, right, that you would normally pay in your mortgage, they give you back 3 of these coins that both have that have $1 stamped on them. Okay, and they're called Bit Mortgage, and I'll tell you, it's amazing. I don't know whether it works or not, but it sounds cool, folks. If you think every month you're going to have a shortage, stop that with Bit Mortgage. All right, folks, we're having a little fun today on the program. Welcome back. I did something 10 minutes ago at this point, that I feel a little apprehensive about, but I feel good about. Okay, so this is what happened. I've been, ever since I got that message from my lovely sister down in Fort Worth. Hi, sis. Not that she listens to this program. She couldn't give a rip, but I got a little jealous, and I decided that month I was going to change things a little bit. So I did a little bit of study, and this was again 6-7 years ago. And I learned that if you just make one extra payment per month every year, or one extra payment rather per year, once a year, right? So let's say your mortgage is $2,000 every month. If you will, in December, maybe you don't want to do it around Christmas time. Maybe you want to do it at the height of the season. So maybe August, right? Instead of paying $2,000, you pay say $4,000, right? And again, don't quote me on this, but what sticks in my head that one extra payment per year would cut your mortgage in half if you've got a 30-year mortgage. Again, don't quote me on that, but that's what I remember, right? That all goes to principal, cuts it down. And so that's what I've been doing ever since then. About 6-7 years, I have cut or I've made one extra payment per year. Now, rather than just having it fall on one month and having to make a double payment, what I've actually done is I've split out my mortgage and divided it by 12, and I added that much more for my monthly mortgage. So, let's say it was, for kicks and giggles, let's say it's $1,500, right? So once a month, I'm paying $1,500 regularly for my mortgage. Once I did the calculations, it comes out to about $125 more per month. And so I just add that to the $1,500. Now I'm at $1,625, right? So that gives you an example of what I've been doing over the last 6-7 years. And I'll tell you, it has actually been quite amazing. I pulled out my statement recently, today, this morning, and looked at my statement. I thought, holy cow, wow, what we have left owing is actually not as bad as I thought it would be. But it wasn't good enough. What kind of kicked me in gear here is I got a letter in the mail about a month ago, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit this, folks. I got a letter in the mail from my mortgage company saying you may be eligible to remove your PMI insurance, your stupid PMI, that payment that I'm making extra every single month, right? And I about died when I realized that I'm still paying that crap. I mean, I have been under the 80% threshold for a long time. I mean, I am embarrassed to tell you how long I've been under that threshold. And it is just, I cannot believe that I did not realize it and step up to the plate, that it took my bank kicking me in the fanny and saying, Dustin, you want to keep paying this? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Could have had a V8 moment, right? And I ended up, of course, filling out the paperwork, and they sent an appraiser. Well, okay, it was a broker out to do something. I don't know what they did. It wasn't a PIW. It was not, obviously wasn't an appraisal. It was an appraiser that came out. It was a real estate agent, a broker. But whatever he did, and I never saw it, they wouldn't give it to me. But whatever they did, they determined that, yes, we met the qualifications. And today, this morning, opened up the mail, got a letter from my mortgage company saying that they had dropped PMI. And honestly, I didn't even really know how much it was. So I went to my statement, and I pulled open my statement just to rub it in as to how much I've been paying extra the last few years. And I about died. I about died with how much money I have been paying every single month on PMI, and I didn't need to. What an idiot, right? So, but here's the thing. It kicked me in gear, and then I started thinking to myself. I started thinking back about 6-7 years ago about my about my sister and her mortgage and paying it off. And I thought, man, it would be nice to get this paid off. Well, let's just put it this way. I want to get it done sooner rather than later. And so I went to the internet, and there are calculators all over. Just Google pay off mortgage calculator, and you'll find all kinds of them. Okay. I found a great one online, and I started just punching in the numbers based on my statement. What's the principal? What's the interest? What's the interest rate? And how long do I want to have it paid off on? And I typed all that in there, and it kicked out a number. And then I said, you know what? I can do better. I can do better than that. I'm going to pay it off in even less time than that. And I put another number in there for the years, and I did it, folks. I just logged into the computer. I went to my bank account. I got a bill pay that goes out once a month to my mortgage, and I just increased it significantly. A little bit scary because I don't know whether or not we can actually meet that financial obligation, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to take a page from The Richest Man in Babylon. I'm going to pay myself first. I'm going to pay charity second, and I'm going to pay off my mortgage. And I'm just going to out of sight, out of mind. I just set it up in the bill pay so I don't have to think about it every single month. But there is a big chunk of change that's going to be coming out of my bank account starting in May, starting in 3 weeks. The next payment is going to be significantly more than I've been paying, but it's going to allow me to pay off my mortgage in a much shorter time period than I was planning on it. Folks, why am I doing this podcast? I'm doing this podcast, folks, because I talk to appraisers all the time, and one of their biggest challenges is finances. One of their biggest challenges is meeting the monthly obligations that they have. And folks, for a lot of us, there's no bigger obligation. Well, there's payroll for some of us, right? That's a huge one. It overshadows my mortgage by a lot, okay? But to me, that's an investment, not a cost. My mortgage, I don't need to be paying it. I just don't. And I want to be done with it. I want to have the freedom to be able to make some decisions financially without having to worry about this debt hanging over my head, to not worry so much about if the market goes up and if the market goes down. I want to just not have to worry about that monthly payment. So my encouragement, appraisers, is will you today pull open your bank statement if you are a homeowner? Okay, this obviously won't work for renters out there. But if you are a homeowner, do yourself a favor and open your bank statement and actually look at it this time. Don't just look at the bottom line. Don't just fill out the check or write the check. I want you to actually look at the numbers. First of all, are you paying PMI? Appraisers, here I am, right? You should know whether or not your home is worth what it needs to be worth to get that PMI off, right? You should know. You should know the value of your own home. And if you don't, figure it out. You can do that. You have the tools. You have the expertise, right? Figure out whether or not you can get that PMI off if you've got it on there. That's step number one. Step number two, whatever you're paying in PMI, wrap that now into your mortgage and paying off that principal. And step number three, if at all possible, jump on those calculators and figure it out. Could you pay off your mortgage in less time? Half the time? A quarter of the time? It's not unrealistic. Could you pay off your mortgage quicker? I highly encourage that you do so. I'll keep you updated, folks. I'll let you know here in a few years when things are paid off, how it worked out. Thanks for joining me today, folks. If you want to learn more about how to be a successful appraiser and more importantly, a successful appraisal business owner, I hope you'll consider joining my all-star team. We talked about how you can get 3 months free earlier in the program by going to anow.com/coach, but you can jump on the website, my website, and sign up directly. It's $9 a month. It's even cheaper than that if you sign up for the whole year. Trust me, folks, I've yet to have to give a refund on the all-star team, and it's 100% guaranteed. So what do you have to lose? Jump on the old website, theappraisercoach.com/memberships and sign up today.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.